Welcome to Sports Primo and Suave Radio Zcast. Man, it's a really cool time. We have done a lot of really cool Zcasts and podcasts. Amado Abeta, Joe Abeta, and Aaron Abeta with you. And our subject today is volleyball. And we each did a top 10 of volleyball players that we've covered. And again, it's just for fun. We're having a great time. And we're going to talk about our top 10 players. There's a few. I think our lists are kind of the same. We agreed on many things. So we're going to talk about the players as they come up. So very, very simple. We did a top 10 in basketball, or top 16 in basketball, did a tournament, did a top 16 for the boys and girls. The football draft we did, and it's all been a lot of fun. Now we've moved on to volleyball. So we're going to be talking about the players we've covered from 2015 to 2020. That's the criteria, and it has to be players that Sports Primo and Suave Radio have covered. So we're talking about Santa Fe High, we're talking about Capital, St. Mike's, Espanola. That's pretty much it, right, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Well, I need to make one thing clear. It's from 2000. It's to 2019, not 2020. It's the girls that we covered last year that have either graduated or have moved on and won't play for a Santa Fe school for 2020. I want to be clear on that.
Yeah, you're right, because we don't go – it's not 2019 to 2020. It's just 1 year in the tournament. So, yes, thank you for that correction. So, it's for 2019, and that's the players that graduated from last year. So, gentlemen, should we just start from our number 10 and work our way up?
Yeah. Hey, Poi, can I just say something?
Yeah.
We just got to remember that it is just for fun, and these are our top 10, and we welcome the crowd to on this posting to put your top 10. You're more than welcome to do that. We're just doing this because we want to have some fun with no sports, right, Baron?
And I promise I won't put down your opinions if you post them on there. I will probably agree with you. Yes, those were great players, and I won't put you down for it. So
there you go.
Go ahead and share with confidence that I'll respect your opinion on who you think deserves recognition.
That's
and
right.
I'm sure, and we're sure there's going to be some questions. And again, we welcome that. We welcome all of your opinions and your comments, and we really do appreciate that. Super thankful and very grateful for all of it. So let's get started. I'll jump in right away here for my number 10, and that's Sierra Moya from St. Mike's. And she was one of my picks because I just liked the fire that she played with, and she was a really good middle blocker, and she was a really good team leader, got the team fired up, and was one of those demonstrative players on the court. And she was a Sports Primo player of the game. Mm-hmm. And that's why she got my pick on the list here.
Baron, go ahead.
I was trying to remember was she on the state championship team?
She was on the team that went to the semifinal
before.
Yeah,
the year before. So she was a big part of kind of that St. Michael's run that led up to the state championship. In the end, unfortunately she got to miss it, but she was definitely on my list. Didn't quite make the top 10, but I remember her playing with a lot of fire, and she was definitely a person that I thought set the tone for going into the next year. She was kind of a good role model for the younger players about the expectations that Coach Valerie had set for the team. And so I know she was real proud when they did win the state championship the year after she left. So, yeah, definitely an outstanding player that we've covered here over the last few years.
Nice. Well, Joe, do you want to jump in with your number 10?
My number 10 is Gabby Ornelas from Capital. And she was a big-time player for us. It was exciting to watch her play. Big part of the team, and I just felt like, definitely a memorable player for me as far as at Capital. And it was always exciting to cover Capital because when she was playing, she was going to bring it all out there and take it to the team they were playing against. So my top 10 pick is Gabby Ornelas.
Nice. Yeah, Gabby, great player. And again, a lot of the players on my list, it's based on team leadership and, of course, talent. There's players on the list as well. And Gabby's on my list. She's a little higher. Do you want me to say where she is?
Yeah.
So Gabby's number 5 on my list from Capitol High. And again, it's just her leadership skills, her enthusiasm on the court. And, came from a great family and great student, everything else. She had a passion for the game, and, you know, things really went around her. When she was on the court, good things happened for Capital. So, and you really saw the difference with her. So, and Baron, you know a lot about Gabby Ornelas, actually.
Well, she's number 8 on my list, and I struggled. She not the most athletic player, not the tallest player, didn't jump out of the gym, but she made up for those for that with her fire, with her leadership, her passion, like you all said before. Always played with a smile, but also a fierceness about her that was on the court. And yeah, her team, it seemed like it struggled when she wasn't on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wasn't necessarily like a big killer, although she had those types of games, but the team rallied around her, you know, and she played with a young team too. She was a senior surrounded by a bunch of young talent, and they kind of rallied around her, and she welcomed that. She didn't shy away from it. She made them feel like a team. I'm sure Coach Max Vargas would compliment her on just building that culture that they have over there. Capital High School, in spite of them not making deep runs in the tournament, boy, they sure do have that championship culture, that championship quality about them over there, the family over there feeling. And I think Gabby has a big part of establishing that there. So one of my favorite players that I've covered, and yep, I am biased, ladies and gentlemen, she was a student of mine. Every time she sees me, she says hello to me, and we talk for a long time. Her dad does, just like one of those special students that, you know, very memorable student for me. So Gabby Ornelas, number 8 on my list for volleyball.
And so she's number 5, just to recap for me, number 5 on my list in the top 10. Joe, what was she? She was your number?
She was my number 10.
Your number 10. So let's go on to number 9. So
well, Baron hasn't given his number 10.
Oh, I'm sorry, Baron.
Yeah, my number 10 is Darian Ortiz. I know she's on both of your lists.
Yep.
And she was on that championship team for St. Michael's. She played the back row for St. Mike's. She was a great server as well for the Horsemen. Perhaps just to amateur volleyball eye like myself, she wasn't an outside hitter, a middle blocker, but she did all the little things. She was the glue person. She was the glue player for that St. Mike's championship team. That's the way I would like to describe her. She was solid, didn't make mistakes, wasn't like full of highlights per se, but just a consistent, solid player that did her job well. And I think was a huge part of that championship team for St. Mike's.
And we knew – go ahead, Joe.
A memory that I have of her is when they were playing Robertson, and Robertson was just kept on slamming the ball down, and the digs that she got and the punishment that she took, because some of them would hit her right in the face. She'd still find some way of keeping them in play. But just it was just amazing on the way that she took those hits sometimes, and she'd just get right back up and keep on playing. So that's my fondest memory of Darian playing, that she was just one of those players that was going to get the job done no matter what, no matter if she was going to get, you know, pegged with the ball really hard. She was going to find some way of keeping it in play and making her team successful.
Well, her performance as a server, her service performance in the state championship was amazing. And then, you know, talking to different coaches and, you know, different people in the volleyball world of how important it is for your person on the backside to make that good pass to the setter. So important. And Darian, she put on a show in the state championship, and that's what got her on this list for me. And she's number 9 on my list. And so that scratches out my number 9 right there. And that's Darian Ortiz from St. Mike's. But yes, just an amazing player doing the little things like you said.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Poi. All right. Oh, I guess on my number 9?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Dulce Maldonado. She's Espanola Valley. We saw her play, went up there. I think they were playing against Santa Fe High, I think, when we saw her play one year. And just an amazing outside hitter. She was something can hit the ball, hit it hard, and very athletic, but a memorable player. I remember when seeing her play. They were a great team, and those teams were was it Coach Salazar that was coaching them at the time, I believe?
Was.
Yeah. A passionate guy about volleyball, loves volleyball, and you saw that his team just rallied around him. And I remember him talking about Dulce and how special she was, and she was a special player. So that's my number 9 is Dulce.
Good pick, Joe. She was definitely a power hitter.
Yeah.
She brought the hammer on her spikes, man. When she scored, everyone knew it, and she was memorable. Didn't cover a lot of her games. We didn't get up to Espanola a lot, but when we did, the few games that we covered, she definitely stuck out.
Yes, no, absolutely.
And Baron, you want to jump in on your number 9?
My number 9 is Molly Maestas from St. Michael's.
Oh, good pick.
She was a senior last year. Huge part of that St. Michael's culture. Of a diverse player. She was an outside hitter her junior year, and then her senior year, she kind of had split duty. She did outside hitting, but she also was a setter for St. Michael's. So she did anything that the coach asked. She did it well. Again, very consistent, not necessarily flashy, but again, didn't make mistakes, didn't let pressure get to her. Played with a smile, played with passion, played with sportsmanship, just an all-around model of great sportsmanship and how to play the game of volleyball. She improved from year to year. We saw her play for 3 years at St. Mike's, and she was just, every year she got better and better and better, and just solid. I don't remember her making many mistakes at all. Molly Maestas.
Yeah,
that's a good pick. That's a great pick, Baron, because it takes a lot to you have to switch in volleyball, to switch positions, and she was taking over, having to play outside and then playing setter, taking over for Michaela Martinez. So that's a big shadow, a big shoe to fill, and she did it well. That was a team that made it to the state championship, and it was a nice run for them, a surprise run maybe, because not even Coach Valerie, she didn't know where her team was going to be when we talked to her last August, if you remember that. So, Baron, that's a great pick.
Yeah, definitely Molly stepped up that last year. For them to be in the championship again 2 years in a row, that was huge, for Molly to step up as a senior. And considering the leadership that had left, with Michaela Bowman and Michaela Martinez, that left a big hole. And Darian Ortiz definitely left a big hole in that team, and she filled it fine. And they got back to the championship, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And we do remember it was a memorable state championship game, and it was a lot of fun. Good tournament this year.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so going on to our number 8 pick, and I don't think my pick is on anybody's list. It's from Espanola Valley, Chloe Fell, and I picked Chloe because she was in the couple games that we did cover in Espanola. She was really good from the outside. She didn't leave the floor. She also played the backside really well, and was another team leader, played with a lot of passion, and that's another player. When she killed the ball, you knew it. And so, she had some ups and downs, I think, in her senior season, but she was really good sophomore, junior, and did really well for Coach Salazar. So Chloe Fell's my pick at number 8.
Good pick. Again, she did stick out when we went up to cover her.
Yeah,
to cover the Espanola volleyball players. So if we go now to Joe's number 8 pick, go ahead, Joe.
My number 8 pick's Adana Kabaka. And again, Adonica, a stellar athlete, great leadership, rallied her team to be better. Maybe then they looked on paper, they were actually better when you saw them, because she was a big part of getting them going and making them a better team and winning games. Much like the same reasons why we picked her to be in the top 16 for the basketball, I'm picking her for volleyball too as well. She was a great basketball player. She was a great volleyball player too. But the one thing is, she was a great leader on her team, and she made her team better because of it. So that's why I picked Adonica.
And she was part of that rebuilding process.
Yes.
And
she was, I know her grandfather proud of her, Joe Martinez. And she, she's a former Capshaw Falcon, so I know her. I wasn't a student of mine, but definitely has been that type of positive energy since she was in middle school, and had that type of special athlete talent since she was in middle school. And again, it's just, Joe talked about, you both talked about how she was kind of part of rebuilding. We talked about it in the basketball podcast, that she had 4 coaches in 4 years as a basketball player. Mm-hmm. And she had 2 or 3 coaches while she was there as a volleyball player, and could have been bitter about it, could have been, had a negative attitude about it, but didn't. Played all 4 years at the varsity level at both volleyball and basketball, and did it with a smile, did it with pride, was a great teammate. And that right there is reason enough for her to be on the top 10. Donna Kabaka is not a complainer. She's a doer. And I congratulate her on that. And I believe she's moving on to play college basketball after playing at Trinidad for 2 years. She's going on to play in Montana in Billings for her last 2 years of college basketball. So congratulations to her.
That's great. And she's your number 7, Baron.
Yes, definitely.
Yep. There you go. Awesome.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here on Sports Primo Suave Radio Zcast. Amado Abeta, Joe Abeta, and Aaron Abeta. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. Morley Fletcher here from Santa Fe Kia. As a COVID-19 update, our service and parts department are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 and Saturday from 8 to noon for all your service and repair needs, not only on Kias, but all makes and models. We are also offering complimentary pickup and delivery of vehicles needing service within a 40-mile radius. Santa Fe Kia's virtual showroom is open at santafekia.com for online research, availability, online purchases, and delivery of new or pre-owned vehicles. Agents are standing by via email, text, or phone to help you virtually. Santa Fe Kia, where we treat you different.
What's Kasasa? It's a catchy word for earning cash that just might make you want to dance. Get paid for doing simple things you do anyway. That's free Kasasa checking. Get Kasasa at State Employees Credit Union.
My daughter and I love spending time together. We visit the doctor once a year for checkups, and if she does get sick, we're there more often. Dr. King is a great doctor. He likes to joke with her and make her feel comfortable if she's nervous about the visit.
It's really wonderful to see children grow and flourish. General pediatric care is ideal for kids to put them on that track to succeed in school and to succeed later on in life.
I think Abigail's had a great health journey thanks to Southwest Care.
Cool. Welcome back to Sports Primo Suave Radio Zcast. Amado Abeta, Joe Abeta, and Aaron Abeta with you. We're doing our top 10 high school volleyball players for the teams that we've covered here at Sports Primo and Suave Radio. And so far, there's been some great players on the list. We started at number 10. We have Sierra Moya, Darian Ortiz, Chloe Fell. Talked about Gabby Ornelas, she's up and down on both of our lists. We've talked about Kabaka. Do you want to do a quick recap? What else do we have on the list, gentlemen?
Dulce Maldonado, Molly Maez. And now we are up to you're number 7, Amado.
So we're up to number 7 here, and my number 7 pick. She would have made the criteria if she was still at St. Mike's, but she left. And my number 7 is Lily Barker. And, she should have been higher now that I look at it. Lily was a playmaker. She was a difference maker. And that's another one. When she killed the ball, man, it was a whole other story when she would hit that ball and strike it down. It was amazing to see her play. Didn't leave the floor. Very rarely you'd see her on the bench. Mm-hmm. And again, should have been higher on the list. And so that's one on me. But a lot of time, I'm picking with my heart sometimes on the list. But also, I thought of this as well with Lily, was the fact that she didn't play an entire career at St. Mike's. She played up to her junior year. So I think she could have been a possible number 2 if she plays the entire way. But she's number 7. She's on the list no matter what. So Lily Barker is my number 7, boys.
I think Baron and I have the same top 6. So we went with Lily Barker's our number 4. So
that's where she should be, actually.
She was thing is, Lily Barker was always a top performer in her freshman, her sophomore, and her junior year. And she was an underclassman at those points, and she was a big part of the team. She's a big reason why St. Mike's won that state championship. She's a big reason why they returned to the state championship last year. So, and just a great person, great kid. When we would interview her after the game, showed a lot of enthusiasm out there. When she'd do a nice hit, she was part of the Killer Bees with Bowman and Barker. So yep. Great memories of Lily, and we're going to miss her. We're going to miss her this year.
So my memory of Lily Barker that sticks out is she was tough. She played through injury. I remember in the Tournament of Champions, they were playing Farmington. Farmington was a top-ranked team, and St. Michael's was playing them. This was their state championship year, but it was at the beginning of the year, this Tournament of Champions. Lily Barker pulled a muscle in her stomach or something, and she was out for, I think, game 3 or 4, maybe both of them, and Farmington came back, and Lily Barker rose up. She was like, okay, I can go. And she went, and she was a big part of them winning, of them beating Farmington. So yeah. That memory sticks out for me with Lily Barker. All what you all said is correct. Ultra talented player, but she was tough too. Definitely not one of those was like, I'm the star player, and when I'm hurt, I'm gonna kind of play it up. No, she was gonna play through injury. So that's commendable again for Lily Barker.
So Lily Barker, number 7 on my list, number 4 for Joe and Baron. Baron, who was your number 7?
Well, I already talked about her. Donna Kabaka was my number 7. So now we'll go to number 6 because we all have the same number 6, Michaela Bowman, the other half of the Killer Bees, and she's number 6 on Joe and my list. We had Barker at 4, and you have Bowman at 6. So, definitely part of the state championship team, outside hitter, had a special rapport with Michaela Martinez, the setter. She was responsible for when teams were trying to key on either her or Barker, she was ready. And Michaela Martinez, we'll get to her later down the podcast, but she was intuitive enough to know to set up the defense. They think I'm going to Lily. No, I'm going to go to Michaela. So that shows the team chemistry between all those three and how they really were working as one. The Killer Bees and Michaela Martinez, and they were all kind of important to that state championship team because a team couldn't just key on one of them. They had to worry about all three of them. So
that's right.
Yep, definitely.
I agree with everything you said, Baron.
Thanks, Poit. So go ahead, Joe, number 5.
Everyone agrees on number 6. So
yep.
My number 5 is already gone. So, gentlemen, I'm in the top 4.
So Mathos was Gabby Ornelas at number 5, and Aaron and I are both of our number 5s are Courtney Brookover, the setter extraordinaire, and just an amazing teammate. We saw her in the state tournament really will and take leadership of her team during a couple of those games and coming out successful. And the thing about her, and Amado, I know both you and Baron witnessed this, is she never gave up no matter how, if they were down, 2-0, they were down, she was gonna find every way she could to bring it back. And we saw that, I think, in her last game. Was it against Cleveland this last year? Yeah. Where she was just like, "Hey guys, we got to pull this out, and we still have a chance. The game isn't over yet." And seeing that in a player in high school to have that kind of, tenacity and leadership in a time like that, and not give up. Perseverance was just amazing. So. Courtney's our number 5. I know that she's a little higher on yours, Poi. What is it?
So Courtney Brookover is number 2 on my list, and it's because of, again, I picked a lot of it on leadership and talent on my list, and I really, loved the way Brookover would rally the teammates, and like you said, she didn't give up, and she just played with so much passion and kind of willed herself to be the player that she was, and got herself a college scholarship, and that, it was all through hard work. She was undersized, wasn't the fastest player at times, and she just worked it, and you saw her get better as each season went along. And
absolutely.
And she was one of the best interviews that we would do as well. She was a blast to do interviews with, and we're going to miss her a lot, and I'm sure Santa Fe High is going to miss her. And she did it even facing some adversity where there was another good setter on that team that was coming up behind her, and Courtney fought back to keep her job and to keep it together with the team. And so, that was something, a really special personality for Santa Fe High, and a great leader who she really willed her team. And you'd see her not afraid to get in the face of a teammate and say what she had to say. But another player like Baron has talked about, Gabby, played with a smile on her face too. So it was really good. So yeah, she was my number 2. So I'm going to cross that one off right here.
Yep.
There we go.
And then now we're to number 4. And I know
Baron, do you have any thoughts on Courtney?
Oh, sorry, Baron.
No, you guys covered a lot there, but I was thinking about, I was also thinking about the adversity that she was facing her junior year when she was benched in the middle of that year. She was benched for another setter. Then she worked her way back to split time with the other setter, and then eventually beating her out. And that's one thing. I think it's a good lesson for a lot of players nowadays is you're not guaranteed a spot. You don't have a right to a spot, whether you're a senior, junior, sophomore, whatever. You have to compete for your playing time. You have to compete for a spot on the floor, whether it be volleyball, football, basketball, whatever. And a lot of kids nowadays, they take offense to that. They take offense to getting benched, and they complain, and they come up with excuses. She was able to battle back onto the floor, and her senior, by the time she was a senior, I mean, she was just one of the leading setters in the state.
Yeah.
So that's a good lesson for a lot of younger players out there. You have to compete for your playing time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, gentlemen, we are moving up here to number 4 on the list. And you guys, your number 4 was already discussed in Lily Barker. My number 4 is from Capitol High School, Michaela Baca. And that's what doing the little things was all about, was Michaela, man. She played the backside, and there were some plays where I've never seen a volleyball player dive on the floor and sacrifice her body the way she would. And she was accurate when she did it. And so that's another team leader. And man, it was a pleasure to watch her play, and just to see how much, again, the passion, the tenacity, the leadership, everything she did, and doing it without, getting kills, without getting the, all of those accolades and the things that people see in volleyball. Man, we saw her hitting the floor. She was undersized. She was 5'2", 5'3", and just a great player to watch from the backside. And yeah, she was my number 4 on the list. And gentlemen, I know you have stuff to say about Michaela.
Well, she's number 2 on our list, is Michaela Baca. And when you're getting to this part of the list, a lot like talent is the talent as well. With the combination of all of the characteristics that you just described about her, she had the fire, the hustle, all of that stuff, but she also had the talent. She was fast. She was quick. She had great instincts for volleyball. So she was intuitive. She could anticipate plays, anticipate where the ball would go. She was a captain out there, a general, but she also led by example. But as well, I mean, she had the talent to do it as well. So that's why she's number 2 on my list, is she had all those great qualities plus the talent. So yeah, Michaela Baca, one of the most memorable players that I've covered here on Sports Primo, and and her mom Georgia, very proud of her, very supportive of her as well. And talk about great interview, Michaela Baca as well, a great interview too. So she's just got a great personality, very very positive person.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one story that I talking to her mom Georgia and telling her that, and I think Michaela even told us in an interview one time, guys, is that she would go down, I think, to Albuquerque 4 or 5 times a week for practice, even in the off season to keep her skills up. She'd do it during club season. When she came back, she was ready to go for the regular season, but she was just a hard worker. And, she worked out in the weight room. She worked on her speed. She was quite an athletic specimen. I mean, she was in great shape, and she took command of the floor when she was on there. And like you said, Amado, she sacrificed a lot of herself physically just to make a play out there. And a real quick story, and I know that we're talking about high school, but the way she was found out, and she didn't think that she was going to be playing college volleyball at one point. And someone saw her play and said, "Hey, I want that person, and I want her to play for me." And next thing you know, she's playing college. She's going off to college to play volleyball, which she's been very successful up there at Montana State. So just goes to show that her work ethic, hard work pays off, and I'm just really fortunate that we were able to cover her during this time.
Well, gentlemen, let's take a quick break here on the Sports Primo Suave Radio Zcast. Amado Beta, Joe Beta, and Aaron Beta talking about the top 10 in high school volleyball.
My experience over here at Santa Fe Community College has been wonderful.
The class sizes are much smaller than a big university.
My classmates were great. The teachers were really supportive.
When you need help with something, they're there to help you.
I had heard in the community about SFCC, and it's just been incredible how affordable it is. People care about why they're here, and it kind of shines through in every aspect of the culture.
We are located at 100 Catron Street, about a block and a half down from our old location. I have a great team. We strive to make sure that people's needs are taken care of, that they're catered to. The success that we have is because of the customer service that we provide for them. We've been recognized as an award-winning office for our customer service that we provide to the public. We have implemented a lot of technology to help our constituents and their everyday needs, and help simplify what we do so that the public understands what we provide for them.
The first time I heard of Southwest was just word on the street. As soon as you walked in the door, everybody was very welcoming. That was my main concern about even getting on PrEP. It would have to have been something that I would have been confident and secure in.
PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it is a way of preventing HIV with a single daily pill. When you see somebody go from super overwhelmed to feeling like they can do this, that empowerment that comes from it, that's one of my favorite things.
Welcome back to Sports Primo Suave Radio Zcast. We are talking about the top 10 in volleyball. We each made a top 10 list of the players we've covered and teams we've covered here on Sports Primo and Suave Radio. And so we've gone through some great players. We are on to the top 3. We've had some number 2s here. We had different number 2s. I had Courtney Brookover, my number 2 from Santa Fe High. You both had Michaela Baca from Capitol High. She played the backside, and we talked a lot about her. Now we're on to number 3, boys, and we all agreed. We're all in agreement here with our number 3 pick, and that is Salome Rump from Santa Fe High School.
Yes.
So,
go ahead, Barry.
Salome, just perhaps the best pure volleyball talent, I think, for that I've covered as far as just raw volleyball ability. She was an outstanding outside hitter, no doubt about it, and just had the power. She worked on her angles as well, where it would just cut across the net. She would sky up there and had some highlight reel moments, but she was also an outstanding server. I mean, she had a jump serve that had a kind of a cut to it, like a Mariano Rivera cut fastball. It kind of cut in on the player's wrist, and so she would go on these runs of service points, like where she would have. They were aces. I think that she had 6 aces in a row at one time in a game we covered.
Mm-hmm.
So she was good. She was an all-around great volleyball player. Played the back line as well her senior year.
Yes.
When they lost the seniors from before, the back line. So she also played the back line her senior year too. I almost think that at times there were some games she played just as much back line as she did the front in her senior year. Never left the floor. Just a outstanding talent. I mean, played. I believe she was on the varsity roster as an 8th grader. So she was a special volleyball talent that we got to cover here, Salome Romp.
Yeah, and you know, what I have to say is, you know, her playing at different positions, I don't think people understand how hard it is to play, because you use different skills for different positions, right?
Yeah.
You know, libero, yes, they can do a little bit of everything, but a back row person's not going to be able to hit like an outside hitter in most cases, you know, or an outside hitter's not going to be able to dig or setting, but she could do everything. She was there to do everything. She was the all-around great volleyball player, and you can put her anywhere and she was going to be successful in what she did.
And yeah, like you guys said, talent, just one of the most talented players we've covered. Great interview as well. Great personality. She was really good out, you know, off the volleyball court as well. Good dancer. She do all the fiesta events and stuff with her dancing troupe, so she was really talented there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just a great player and really good on the backside. She never left the floor her senior season, and yeah, what else can you say? I struggled myself with her and Courtney Brookover with number 2 and number 3. It was almost a tie for me, and you know, and I really did. I stressed about it, thinking about it over and over of Salome being that number 2, and it just came down to that leadership on the team. But man, talent-wise and just, you know, hard work and what she did was Salome Romp. She was a pleasure to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I remember a game actually, you know, thinking of Michaela Baca when Salome, man, she got a spike and it just slammed right into Michaela and she returned that thing back. And that's the kind of, when we go back to Michaela Baca, the kind of player she was, and, you know, a lot of talent. And I remember at one time we were thinking, we kind of put that little dream team together of imagine Salome playing outside hitter, you know, and Michaela Baca playing the backside, and that team, you know, what that team could do if they're all at the same school. But you said it perfectly with Salome. Yeah. She's just super talented. It's, you know, there's so much to talk about with her, but she was the number 3, and that may be questioned on our list, but again, we're having fun. That's okay.
Let me ask you this before we get to our number 1, because I think we already talked about our number 2, right? Did we or not yet? We'll get to the number 2, but of all the hitters, who do you think, Salome, Michaela Bowman, or Lily Barker, or Adonica? As far as I'm trying to think of some other outside here, who were the hardest ones? Who do you think would hit the hardest?
Salome.
I have Salome. That's why she's 3 ahead of the other ones.
Yeah, I got to say, yeah, she
had power. She also would. She also knew when to dink as well. I mean, there were times where she was just like. There were times that, you know, the demons were on their heels, and she said, "Okay, I'm going to put a stop to this," and she would. She would, just like it was like a lightning bolt coming out of her arm. You know, it's like boom. Okay, we're back. And that kind of pace changer, I guess, that momentum changer was something that she had quite a bit of. She had a lot of those because her demon teams, they were in battles that, you know, a lot of times she was the talent that had to rise to the occasion. And, you know, since she's our last demon that we're talking about here on our list, I think all 3 of us have to remember that Hobbs State Tournament game as one of the most that's one of the most memorable matches, games, events that we've covered here. It was to move to the quarterfinals, I believe.
Yeah.
Was it? And they won the first two and then lost the next two and then won in game number 5. Oh no, they lost the first two and then won 3 in a row, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened?
Yep.
Yeah, they came back from 0-2 down, and we were emotionally involved in that bunch.
Oh, yeah.
We were invested in that,
Yeah.
and that's something cool for all of us to get into. I mean, volleyball. Well, that's one thing of these girls, and I was going to save this for the end, but since I'm bringing it up now, all of these student athletes that are on this list here have helped me appreciate volleyball exponentially more than I ever did.
Yeah.
And it's more than an appreciation now. I thoroughly and genuinely enjoy covering volleyball games, and it is. I never thought I would, but it's awesome. And I got to say too, like the parents and the fans, they are, I think, the most appreciative fans out there about us covering their games. I don't know how many times parents at volleyball games come up to us and say how much they enjoy watching and listening to us. So that means a lot to us. I know sometimes I may not respond in the moment because it's so I'm so embarrassed, I guess, or I don't know what it is, but I really do. I mean, and they are the parents of volleyball players. They love it, and so I thank you all for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a blast covering the volleyball games. And Baron, you're amazing. You and Coach Clayton calling the games, and and it was a growing process, learning all of the terms and everything. But you're right, that Hobbs Santa Fe High game, that goes down as one of the top games that I've ever covered and been a part of. And Joe and I were the lucky ones. We got to pace back and forth and yell, and we were hanging on every single point, every single serve. We were hanging on and yelling and doing the same thing, hoping that it didn't bleed onto the broadcast. So and Baron, with these games, you really make people feel like they're at the game, especially with a volleyball game. You and Coach Clayton do an amazing job. So it's been an honor to cover volleyball. And I think, gentlemen, we are on to our number 1, and I think we all agree who number 1 is.
Yep.
We do. Joe and I had Michaela Baca number 2. You had Brooke Over number 2. We talked about the greatness of those players. And you're right, Amalo, our consensus number 1. And ladies and gentlemen, we didn't discuss it before we made our list. We all were like, let's just make our top 10 list and we'll come together afterwards. And all of us had this player number 1 for the Sports Primo volleyball rankings. Our consensus number 1 player is St. Michael's setter extraordinaire, Michaela Martinez.
That's right.
So,
oh yeah, that's it. It was a great 5 years, I believe, 8th grade. So 5 years of Michaela Martinez, and she was a great player from day one. One of the best defensive players. Like, nothing got away from that young lady on the court. She was able to dig everything out. She was always covering a player when it needed to happen. She just knew where to be. She, like we talked about instincts. She had such a great instinct for volleyball, and she took everything. So she played with a smile, but when she had to be tough, she was. Yeah. We saw her yell at her teammates during a timeout to get them together, and they would. And she was just a safety blanket out there for her team, and one of the best setters, one of the best volleyball players we've seen. And again, just another one, just such great personality. I think we interviewed her the most.
Yeah.
All the years with the Sports Primo players. She goes down in that Sports Primo Hall of Fame of players who have gotten player of the game, interviewed so much. And great golf player as well, not just volleyball. And we talked about her. She had a great passion for golf, and she was just such a memorable player that we'll never forget. And that's, I think I miss her the most. And I was really sad when she played her last game. And just, it was really, really nice to cover her all those years. She made it that much better for me to get to watch her play.
Yeah, she was at a point in her junior and senior year, I believe, where she was out there enjoying the game and having fun because she was so good at what she did. You know, it's kind of like seeing someone that's just a really skilled at something and not having to think about it anymore, where you're at a point where I know I can do this. I'm going to do whatever I want within this court, and I'm going to be able to perform. I'm going to be able to hit it. I'm going to be able to dig it. I'm going to be able to set it. I'm not going to have to think about it. It's all instinctive now. It's like walking and breathing for me. And that's what it was like to watch Michaela play on the court with her team. She was always just so comfortable in the way she played that it was just something special to see her play.
Yeah, she was a natural is what she was. She was like born to be a volleyball player, born to be a setter, a captain. Talking about momentum changes, didn't spike the ball, but she would momentum change with her dumping the ball over on pretending to set, but she would dump it over on the second hit. I don't know how many times she scored on that, and it was always at the time when her team needed it, or when the other team least expected it.
Yeah,
like it was. Her timing was impeccable on those things, man. It was like, whoa, where did that come from? You know, and so that was always something that I enjoyed watching her do, was how she would change the momentum of a game from her setting position, covered the floor, and her team was very talented. I think she had 3 teammates on this, 4. Molly Maestas, Darian Ortiz, the Killer Bees, Barker, Bowman, and Martinez. So an extremely talented team, and she was the most talented of them. And they all knew, like, we're gonna get out of her way. Like, that's what she had earned that respect from a talented team, a state championship team.
Yeah.
It's a story. It reminds me of a story I heard about the Police, the band, the music band Police. They were all outstanding musicians and songwriters. And is it Andy Kennedy's the guitar player? Is that his name? Andy Summers.
Summers, yeah.
Yeah. He said, you know, we were all writing our songs and stuff, and you know, pretty soon we realized that yes, Sting is the best songwriter of a song, so we'll just do his songs. Well, that's kind of what the St. Mike's team with Michaela Martinez. She was the Sting of that bunch, and when she wanted to go somewhere, they was like, yeah, let's let her take care of it. And it's not a knock on her team, it's a compliment. They all knew their roles.
Yeah.
Even, you know, they were all great players and they knew their roles, but they also knew who the big dog was, and it was Michaela Martinez.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And yeah, that one was a no-brainer. I think when we were that was probably the first name that you all wrote down, right?
Oh yeah. Well, that was a given.
First one I thought came to my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, that was a great top 10 list for all 3 of us. Again, we welcome any opinions, any questions. Mention a player. If we missed somebody that may have deserved to be on the list that you think, please let us know. I know there's a few questions of rankings on my list for sure. I'm questioning my own list right now.
But it's okay. That's what we do this so people can talk.
That's right.
And discuss and most importantly, remember these players.
Yes.
That's the most important thing, is to remember, like to what the joy they brought to us watching them play. That's what all of these lists are for. So please just remember that.
Joe, any final thoughts?
No, it's just it really is cool that we're able to have a discussion like this about the volleyball, our players in our community, and be able to, you know, we've come a long way covering this team and these volleyball teams and covering volleyball, and it's just really cool that we can have a top 10 list of volleyball players and talk about them. And I, it just makes me feel good that we can do something like that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is Sports Primo Suave Radio Zcast. Stay safe out there. If you're out, wear a mask in the stores, distance if you can. Go for hikes by yourself. Go for walks. Be with the family. Use this time positive. Find the silver lining. So for Aaron Abeyta, Joe Abeyta, I'm Amado Abeyta. Thank you so much for watching.